Now we're looking at the double offset squared around. So this is offset two ways, so we can't split it any way to get a identical pattern in two halves, so we're going to have to make it into two parts. So let's go to Inventor and do a new sheet metal and double check the dimensions. So we've got a 200 by 200 square at the bottom. So let's do start sketch, XY plane, center point, two point center rectangle, make sure you're in that one, and go 200. I'm just going to type 200 for this, and finish the sketch. Double click the scroll button to zoom out. Now I'm going to highlight the plane that I just drew on, the XY plane. So now I'm going to do offset plane from there, offset from plane. It's picked up on it because it's highlighted, and we'll go 100. That's the overall height. Now we're going to have to do a sketch on this one of this circle, which is a 150 diameter inside, and it's 25, 25 off the center of that square. Let's go start sketch on this plane here. We'll project the geometry, we'll project the center point. And let's just throw a circle in here, approximately where we want it, 150 diameter. And we'll put the dimensions in here for the 25. 25 that way, and 25 that way. That's fully constrained, so we're good there. Go to finish sketch. I'm going to turn the visibility of the work plane off, like that. And now we're going to set our sheet metal default, our thickness here. So go up over here and untick use thickness from rule. We're going to go 0.55 millimeters. Apply. And we'll close that one there. Now we're going to go over to lofted flange. Click on both these profiles. And we're going to go diaformed for this one. And I'm just going to make sure it's going to the outside because the drawing says it's outside. So yes, it's going to the outside. So I'll just click OK on that. So there we have our 3D model of it. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to save this. We'll save it now as an IPT. And I'm going to also change the material type so we can get our weights and everything correct. So that is going to be steel galvanized. So because this is unsymmetrical, unless we did a line across the center here, but it would be quite impractical to put it together that way. Usually on a squared around you put your joints from this point to about the middle of this flat bit here. So we're going to have to go on this one, we're going to have to split it into two parts in order to get the two separate patterns. So the way I'm going to go about that is we're going to expand our origin here, and we're going to turn this plane on. Then we're going to put a point either side of it. clicking on the plane and the edge and the plane, doesn't matter what way around you go. I'll go back to point. And we need one more point. So I've done it this way. Here, as you can see, so that we're going to split straight across from those points up on an angle to these points. So what we need to do is turn this plane off. That goes straight up through the center there. And we actually need to create a new plane. And it has to be, it doesn't necessarily have to be a 3-point plane, but that's how I've done it for this one. I'm going to select this bottom one, and that top one we'd made. So you see we've got a new plane that's going, splitting it through that way. What we need to do now is come over to 3D model, and we're going to go for split. Select the faces and the quilt selection, and we're going to select the plane as well. So that's going to be our splitting plane there. Go OK. So that was just standard option, so it was keeping both sides. You can tell it to discard a side or whatever, but we need both sides here. Now we've split it in two, I'm going to go and turn all these work points off that I'm not using now, and that work plane there. Minimize that. And now what we need to do is actually save this as two parts. So we want to come over to this Manage tab up here. And we're going to go into Make Components. You're going to drop down your template here to standard millimeter. And you can see this arrow is highlighted here. So we're going to click on both sides like that. We're going to go next. And we're going to give these some names. So we're going to call it side A, side B, template. We're going to drop this down till we get our standard millimeter. And then we're going to go file location. So we'll click on this one and we'll make sure we're in the right folder here. So we're in the right folder for double offset squared around, so that's okay. And that helps because we've previously saved it. So just make sure it's all filled out here. Standard millimeter. And actually I'm going to drop that down to sheet metal now that I've got it there. And we're going to go apply. Now we can close this one here, and you'll see what it's done is it's opened up a assembly file. So this is an assembly file with two separate halves. So what we can do is click on this one here, go Control S, make sure it saves, and close it. Now we've got our assembly. I'm going to go up to View, drop the visual style down to shaded with edges. Then I'm going to click on either or, one side or the other. Click on that one, create a flat pattern. Now we've got the flat pattern for one side of it. So we're going to left click it, right click it, export face as, and this one is the side A. So we can see up the top, it's opened it up as side A. So we're going to go side A. Make sure you're in DWG down here. And we'll go to folded part. And we can just go Control S to save that. So that will save it with its flat pattern there. and close. Now we've got the other side we need, which is side B, so let's double click on that. Create a flat pattern. Left click, right click, export face as, make sure you're in DWG, and this can be side B. So now we have our flat pattern for side B. And I'm going to go back to folded part, double click that button, and there it is. So let's go Control S on that. Let's close there, and we can close the assembly, save changes, yes. So now we have basically split one thing into two, turned it into an assembly file, and we've got the flat patterns for either side of it. So that's really handy for doing all sorts of things like that. Now let's put it on the drawing template. So we go New, Drawing Template. Let's have a look in the folder. That was a previous one. So you can see we've got kind of three options here. So we've got a double offset squared around the whole thing together, so that will do. Let's bring that in. And I'm going to just try and place a view that's going to show that it's got that offset on two sides. So it's going to be a little bit difficult on this one because it's going to look like it's just straight, unless you put it on one of these sort of angles here. And I might drag that out a little bit bigger. So, yep, that'll do for this one. Put this way up in the corner here. Just look at your display options. Tangent edges is on, so we're good. And it's solid, so that looks good up there. Now we just need to bring our projection views in, so let's go to base up here again. Bring in the whole thing. And it is nice if you can try and, this isometric view, if you can try and like make it representative of the orientation of this one. So you can see the offset's going off this way to the side of the paper. And this is kind of doing the same thing. It's not 100% necessary, but it helps people visualize it because that's where things go wrong when people can't quite visualize what's going on there. And we're going to go, no, we'll leave 1 to 2 for that one. Let's go to display options, make sure our tangent edges are on. Go back to component, make sure we're in hidden line removed like that. Go OK. I'm just going to position this where I want it. Right click it and go to projector view here. I'm going to bring this one down. Right click create. I'm going to do the same thing again. So we have two views. Again, this looks like it's going in the wrong place, but it fixes itself up when you do it. So there's our views. Let's put some dimensions on here. So we'll go to, first thing we'll do is go to annotate, and I'm going to pick these two endpoints here. Go straight down. You see it's 201, so it's picked up basically the overall size of it. But we want to state the inside of it because that's what's important here. So we're just going to override it. 200 inside. This one here, we'll click this line. Try and line it up with the previous one. We'll do the same thing again. We need an overall height, so I'm going to grab a point up here because when it's formed up, this is actually on a slight angle, and that flat line there, and we'll just go drag it out. And we'll just go precision and tolerance over here and go to 0, so that's at 100 now, not 100.0. And I'm just going to put a little O/A so we know that's an overall dimension there rather than inside or anything like that. Now we've got to put our offsets and our diameter in there. So let's first we'll put some center lines in. So we'll go annotate, just to go up to this one. We'll click on this side and this side. And we'll click on this side and this side. You see we've got some here, and we can drag these out all the way out to the full size of it. We just hover over the edges here, like that. Now we need a center mark for this circle here, so let's click on that corner there, and that'll do. Let's dimension the offsets. So we have 25. Again, it's just picking up on the it's picking up close to where it is, because it's got all these small amounts of thickness and that in. So you need to keep in mind that you've got to dimension it in a way that the person's going to understand to make it. And the last thing we need to dimension here is the diameter. So I can come over here to this dimension one, click on that, and it's going to pick up the radius because it's in two halves, so it's two radiuses, but we'll go with that. And we're just going to go over here to text, we'll hide the dimension, and we'll just put diameter 150 inside. So that should be all the dimensions we need. The next thing is just filling out the title block. So we had a scale of 1 to 2. Drag that over just slightly. Okay, so now let's save this as what it's called. So now we save the IDW. When we export it, the name should stick with it if we save it as a PDF. So let's go File, Export PDF, and yep, the name's there. Let's save it. And I'm going to go into the folder and just check we've got all the files we need. So when you give me the files on Moodle, I want the IDW, I want the double offset squared around just the IPT, the whole thing together, and the PDF, and we want side A and side B as well. I don't need the individual part files for side A and side B, but all the rest is what I need there.